At Dover Air Force Base today in Delaware, scenes that the American people were not allowed to see during the Bush administration. The remains of 6 American soldiers, Sergeant Joshua Kirk, Sergeant Vernon Martin, Specialist Michael Scusa, Specialist Christopher Griffin, Specialist Stephen Mace, and Private First Class Kevin Thompson, all being returned home to their families with solemn ceremony and with dignity. They are 6 of the 8 Americans who were killed in 2 simultaneous insurgent onslaughts on U.S. outposts near the Pakistan border in Afghanistan this weekend. It was 8 years ago tonight that the U.S. war in Afghanistan began, and just this year alone, we have doubled the number of U.S. troops we have there. As the president today met with more than 30 Democratic and Republican members of the House and Senate on Afghanistan, it's clear that the rationale for continuing the war into its 9th year, for even potentially escalating the war in its 9th year, is the theory of counterinsurgency. It's the idea that our troop presence can stabilize Afghanistan, that we can help Afghanistan defeat the threats to its own government, that we can shore up the legitimacy and the capacity and the trustworthiness of the Afghan government and security forces, so the Afghan people will choose them. So Afghanistan will function as a legitimate state with a legitimate government that can defend itself. Then, the counterinsurgents say, then we could leave. Mission accomplished. Well, this is a policy that's supposed to apply to both Afghanistan and Pakistan because of al-Qaeda, because the insurgents in these countries worry us for our own safety. Our troops, our firepower, our development dollars, our diplomacy is all supposed to shore up the governments in these countries and the local security forces so they will prevail over these insurgents that we find dangerous. Here's the problem. The government in Afghanistan is so corrupt, it looks like Hamid Karzai just stole an election he was probably going to win anyway. The government in Pakistan is so corrupt, the Associated Press is now reporting that of the $6.6 billion the Bush administration gave Pakistan's military to fight insurgents before 2008, of $6.6 billion, the military actually maybe got $500 million. Where do you think the other $6.1 billion is that we gave them? The whole point of us continuing this war, of us staying there longer, is that we're increasing their capacity to fight insurgents, their capacity to govern and defend their own countries. The only way it makes sense for us to stay there is if we believe there's some chance of success of that strategy. And success depends on the Afghans and the Pakistanis. And when you consider the likelihood of that success, consider this. The day before the firefight that killed those 8 American soldiers this weekend, an Afghan soldier on patrol with American soldiers in Wardak province opened fire on the American troops he had been patrolling with. 2 Americans were killed in that attack. At least 1 was seriously wounded. And consider that Pakistani television today released CCTV footage of the man they believe was the suicide bomber of the UN World Food Program office yesterday in Islamabad, a bombing that killed 5 people. The bomber was apparently wearing a Pakistani military uniform. The governments our troops are supposed to be shoring up are corrupt and thieving from their own people and from us. The local security forces our troops are supposed to be training and arming and putting in charge, they themselves are killing their supposed American allies and apparently bombing UN offices. Forget the Taliban, even the people we're supposed to be helping want to kill us. Counterinsurgency theory is elegant and impressive, and its champions are among the highest order intellectuals in America today. But as the president makes his decision about what to do now, know that this is what it boils down to. Staying in Afghanistan, escalating in Afghanistan in year 9 of our war there, only makes sense if these best and brightest counterinsurgency intellectuals have convinced us that when we're finally done, someday, some year in the future in Afghanistan, we will have won and the insurgents will have lost. And we will believe that it's all been worth the cost. That's what we have to believe in order for us to want to escalate or even to stay. Year 9 starts right now.